Welcome. So, where did fake news come from? You know what I mean by fake news. I mean, you've seen what CNN has become. I mean, it's a joke, right? I mean, they actually, more or less, there's no news. They don't fact check anything. They lie, and it's all drama now. It's all drama. Right, and I have no idea how they are still on the air, to be frank. How can they call themselves a news network? I mean, oh dear, a woman's show, yeah, you know, a women's talk show, sure, but not a news program. But anyway, I picked the old newspapers you used to pick up. You used to pick up some really good name newspapers and read them and everything else. Not everything, but used to read them, and they used to be good. They used to obviously double check and fact check their stories, and they were, human stories, and they were true, and they weren't tainted in any way. And it was good to have sometimes these papers have a good reading there through them. And you pick them up now, and it doesn't matter even if it's a good name newspaper, and it's like reading the Inquirer. It's mostly more or less gossip type news, right? That really doesn't make any difference or is not that important, and yet it's in this paper. And how did it get there? How did that get there? Well, where does sort of information come from? Well, men like to are logical. They like to deal in facts and figures, don't they? It's just the way the man's brain's wired. Now, women don't like to deal in facts and figures very often. They don't. Women can get together and talk for hours, and to a man, they've said absolutely nothing. Well, they have actually, because if you go through it all and find out what they've said that was true, or anything that they may have fact-checked or believed to be true, you wouldn't find anything. It's all just hearsay and gossip. And they can do that for hours and still say absolutely nothing of any beneficial thing, right? And that's true. And they've always have done, and that's fine. But that's where fake news, I think, comes from. If you read the newspapers now and see the media, how it's almost gossip is what it is. Stories that they bring up are not important to anything, are not anything of any importance really. And the real important stories, they're not reporting on, So and I think it's all stems from women. Right, from women, either there's a woman editorial person is in charge, or a woman's writing it, and instead of writing it as she should do, as facts and figures, and for the people, they're writing it for themselves as such. So therefore, that's why we're getting all this women type thing. Now, men that write that way, it's very hard for a man to write that way, or at least a real man, because he deals in facts and figures, and so these men maybe look like men, but they're obviously not. They're obviously tainted. But all the news is tainted anyway. I mean, you get these silly stories that are so heartwarming stories that, fine, but they're wasting all that time when they could be actually reporting on something of importance, And they always, the other stories that they really report on, they make a big thing of it, is that if a woman's been hurt by a man, or been, threatened by a man, or anything like that, they make a big point of that, as if to say, here's the woman, victim, and here's the man, bad man. They like all that stuff. But I think that's where fake news has come from. Is definitely from the female side, because it's women don't deal in facts and figures at all, and that's what the news media's all like now. You find it very hard to come across a really good news network that actually deals in news, in real news as such. But I'll tell you what was funny. I was walking past this newsagent place, and there was this the paper. There was a paper there, a local paper, and I haven't got it for ages. And I don't normally do. You usually go online or something now, don't you? But I just picked it up. And I picked it up and I started reading it. And I tell you what, it had news stories in it, local news stories that pertained to people in the area. It wasn't tainted. It was very well done. I mean, like I remembered it. And I couldn't believe it. I mean, obviously that was just probably a one-off, but you'll be finding it hard to find a decent news story somewhere nowadays, and it's a shame. Now, I have seen that, Fox News isn't too bad. Slightly tainted, I would think, though, the other way. But Fox News does have news stories, I've noticed. CBS, forget it. NBC, forget it. NBC, forget it. They're all gone. It's a shame. So, what do you think? Where do you think fake news actually originated from?